Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something that might sound super dry, but it's a must-know for every small business out there. Privacy policies, and why your website needs one. Yep, we're talking about the page you often see lurking in the footer of every website and the legal beasts behind it. The Australian privacy principles and often the GDPR. So grab a cuppa, settle in, and let's unravel this digital mystery that is privacy. So, what is a privacy policy? Let's start with the basics. A policy is essentially a public declaration of how your business collects, uses, stores, and protects user data. Basically, you're sharing details about what personal information you're gathering and what you're doing with it. Why is this important? Well, besides promoting trust with your visitors, it's often a legal requirement. Without one, you might be exposing yourself to fines and legal headaches. Let's be honest, no one needs that kind of drama in their life. So imagine you're a website owner running a trendy online boutique, a snazzy blog, or even a quirky travel diary website. Every time someone visits, they might leave behind little crumbs of data, location data, browsing habits, or even an email address if you're collecting them. A privacy policy lets your visitors know exactly what you're going to do with that data. Without a privacy policy, you're not only risking the trust of your audience, but also potentially breaking the law. In Australia, the Privacy Act generally applies to Australian government agencies and organisations with a turnover of more than 3 million. But there are exceptions. There are some small businesses with a lesser turnover that can be required to comply. For example, if you provide health services and hold health information, you have to comply. Or if you trade in personal information, like if you buy and sell data, you must comply. And if you provide services to the government or large organisations, you may also need to comply because of their agreements. So really, even if you're not automatically required to have a privacy policy, it's often recommended as best practice. Now, let's look at where the Australian Privacy Principles, or APPs, come into play. These principles are found in the Privacy Act of 1988. Gosh, that was a while back. An eventful year in Australia with celebrations and protests. Anyway, it also brought about the Privacy Act, which provided a framework for how personal information must be handled. Here's what you need to know. There's 13 key principles. Bad luck, good luck, who knows? They cover everything from how you collect and store data to how you correct and update personal information. They ensure that your data practices are fair, transparent, and secure. Now, the privacy principles stress the importance of collecting only the necessary data that you need and informing users about how their information is going to be used. They also focus a lot on the quality of the data, ensuring it's accurate and up to date. Users have a right to access their personal information and request corrections if something's not quite right. It's the digital version of, "Can I speak to the manager, please?" Except it's all about maintaining accuracy. And the privacy principles also lay out strict guidelines for direct marketing. If you're using personal data to send marketing messages, you must provide clear options for users to opt out. Think of your unsubscribe button on your emails to customers. That way, you ensure that you're respecting them. So really, it's best that every small business understands these privacy principles. They help you not only stay legal, but also ensure you're treating your users' data with the respect that it deserves. Now, let's talk about the GDPR, or General Data Protection Regulations. This is the EU's way of saying, hey, your personal data is sacred. The GDPR was implemented in 2018, and it sets a global benchmark for data protection and laws. And it applies to us in Australia if you collect any information from EU citizens. So what is it all about? Well, Under the GDPR, consent is key. You must obtain explicit, informed consent from users before collecting their personal data. No sneaky tick boxes or vague statements. Your visitors need to know exactly what they're signing up for. Then, users have the right to request that you erase their data. It's called a right to be forgotten. If someone wants out of your digital scrapbook, you need to honour that. Then, you need to only collect the data you truly need. It's like sustainable grocery shopping. Don't buy more than you can use, or you'll just end up with a heap of rotten food. The GDPR also emphasises transparency and accountability. You must clearly explain your data practices and be accountable if anything goes wrong. It's all about building trust one bit at a time. So, if you're running a website that might attract visitors from the EU, even if your business is based in Australia, you're required to comply with the GDPR. And let's not forget our friends in the UK. If your website targets UK users, you need to ensure compliance with the UK GDPR, a legal framework that mirrors the EU's GDPR, with a few tweaks to align with their legal landscape. Alongside the Data Protection Act 2018, the UK GDPR requires explicit user consent, clear communication of data practices, and strict measures for safeguarding personal information. By aligning your privacy policy with those requirements, you not only avoid the potential legal pitfalls, but also build greater trust with your UK audience. You might be wondering, how do all these sets of rules compare? Well, there's a few key similarities and differences worth noting too, particularly between the APPs and GDPR. So what are the similarities? Well, they both require user consent. Both the GDPR and the APPs emphasize obtaining clear, informed consent before collecting data. They both focus on transparency. They require that you clearly explain your data practices. And they both have user rights, whether it's the right of access to correct or delete data. Both frameworks empower users with control over their personal information. They also both have requirements for notifying authorities if there are affected individuals in the event of a data breach. So what are the differences? Well, the GDPR comes with some pretty hefty fines for non-compliance, but watch this space. The fines in Australia might be increasing. So now that we've unpacked the legal nitty-gritty, let's circle back to why your website should have a privacy policy. Here's the top reasons. Legal compliance. Whether it's the APPs, the GDPR, having a robust privacy policy helps you comply with various regulations and avoid those fines. Building trust. A clear privacy policy shows your users that you respect their privacy. It builds credibility, and it could even be a deciding factor for someone when they're choosing between you and a competitor. Transparency. By laying out exactly what data you collect and how you use it, you're fostering a transparent relationship with your audience. And in today's digital world, transparency is expected. And then crisis management. If there is a data breach, a well-drafted privacy policy can be your best defense. It demonstrates that you've taken proactive steps to safeguard user data, which can help mitigate your reputational damage. So, think of your privacy policy as the unsung hero of your website. It might not be as glamorous as a flashy homepage or viral video, but when it comes to protecting both you and your users, it's a must. So how are you going to create a privacy policy that checks those boxes? Here's a few quick tips. Be clear and concise. Avoid legal jargon where possible. Use plain language so that anyone, even your grandma, can understand what you're saying. Tailor it to your audience. If you're targeting EU citizens, ensure you cover all GDPR requirements. Keep it up to date. Regulations change, and so should your privacy policy. Regularly review and update it to reflect any changes in your data practices or legal obligations, and include contact information. Let your users know how they can reach you if they have any questions about their data or your policies. This adds an extra layer of trust. So if creating one from scratch feels just overwhelming, just reach out. You want to make sure Your privacy policy is customized to your business and best drafted by a lawyer. Now, before we wrap up, here's the bottom line. A solid privacy policy isn't just a legal requirement, it's a commitment to your users. In a world where data is the new currency, protecting data is essential. By ensuring a privacy policy complies with regulations like the GDPR and the Australian Privacy Principles, you're not only avoiding fines, but also building a foundation of trust that can set your website apart from the competition. Now, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your fellow website owners, and don't forget to subscribe for more digital tips and tricks. If you have any questions or need further clarification, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and remember, your users' data is precious.